I always say to you that don't do things in isolation, especially when you're going to want to hide a property or protect a property, or you want to protect interests of people that you're leaving behind, etc. I always say try not to go to a legal practitioner with the idea that, oh, just draft me a will or just move this property to this person. Be open-minded. Allow them to explore options with you, right? Because what you heard somewhere might not be something that needs to be done in isolation. There might be other things that can be incorporated to make this work. Plus, remember, our estates are not the same. And so getting that touch of advice helps also to ensure that whatever it is that you're doing is going to work properly and also benefit the people that you want it to benefit. I'm going to make a typical example now. There's something much more worse that is happening. And that is, people are saying we must solve one problem as part of their lives, but unfortunately the problem that they are picking for us to solve is the least problem or the least problematic issue. There is something much more bigger that we should be starting with, but because of not having exposure to the issues, we are unable to start with that particular situation. Let me make an example here. Let's say we've got Jennifer here. Jennifer hears on social media through a discussion that, hey, listen, when you are a parent, normally the sense is that you need to place your kids as the beneficiary of your life policy. But then it's not a good idea, because when you die and these kids are still under 18, there's so much that could happen that you would not want to happen to those funds, right? Because there's going to be a loss of control and a redirection of those funds, and it might not be something that you would have wanted. And so now Jessica hears the recommendation is that rather make sure that the money falls into your estate, so that from your estate it can go into a trust, and then from a trust it then can benefit your children, and then you can put terms and conditions as to how it's going to be paid out. Then Jennifer decides, let me go and approach a practitioner. They must do this for me. And in most instances, the legal practitioner is going to do this. And if Jennifer is asking for an estate plan, the legal practitioner is going to look at the financial affairs of Jennifer. Okay, Jennifer, where do you stand with your debts, etc.? Okay, maybe we need to increase these funds, etc. That's where estate planning helps. But now, here's where the problem comes, is that Jennifer forgets to mention something important, that Jennifer at one point in time was in some sort of marital relationship, because somebody came to pay lobola for her, and there were certain traditional practices that were done, and Jennifer to a certain extent was acknowledged as a wife. Now, because Jennifer did not incorporate this in that discussion she had, she just has that plan in isolation. Now, what happens when Jennifer dies? When Jennifer dies, this estranged husband of hers comes forward and says, hey, this is my wife that is died. I've got proof, I've got evidence. I can show that she was my wife, though this marriage was not registered. And lo and behold, they produce the evidence. The court says, yes, they were their spouse. Now what happens? That 5 million that Jennifer thought was going to go and cater for their kids is not going to be 5 million that's only going to now cater for those kids. It's now going to be half of that, because the spouse is also entitled to half of those funds that are going to go into that estate, and everything that Jennifer had, right? So meaning whatever plan now that Jennifer had, it would have had 5 million in mind, but now the plan is not going to work properly, because these funds are going to be half than that of the plan that Jennifer had. You can imagine if Jennifer had terms to say that each of her kids must be bought a house that's worth 1 million. That means that now there's going to be 500,000 rand that's left. You see that now everything has gone haywire, because Jennifer did not necessarily put her full affairs in or at the forefront of the legal practitioner. And it's not Jennifer's fault, and it's not the legal practitioner's fault, right? But the issue is that it's not knowing that there's so many legal issues that surround us that we need to be starting with to solve and understand before we can hop on to other things. We sometimes start with number 5, whereas there's an issue that is paramount that we should be starting with that we're not starting with. And that is something that I've noted with a lot of my clients. And like I said, I wish I could go into detail and give you much more examples, but these are client sensitive things, so I would not want to share it with you. But here's one thing that this has influenced me to do. Now I've introduced a different type of service for people, right? Not only is there an offer of estate planning, let's look at your affairs financially and otherwise. Now I've incorporated a different type of service that is doing a proper diagnostics on a person to determine whether they have any legal issues that are hanging over their heads that they should be starting with, instead of just them starting with something different. And I believe this is going to help, because a lot of people, they start with the worst things. That, when you look at situations, you're like, I wish you would have told me. We started with the wrong situation, the wrong issue. We should have started with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But then, unfortunately, because of the lack of knowledge, right, this normally does not happen, because somebody will hear somewhere, somehow, that, you need to be doing this. So in their minds, the other legal issues, one, they're not aware of that they are legal issues in nature, and number 2, that they're probably prominent and important to resolve first before actually trying to do something different. I'm not sure if I'm making sense here, right? But yeah, that's something that I have started to look into, and I think it's going to provide a helpful guide to people, because come on now, we are now burning out fires that cannot be burnt out, because the resolutions are not what they should be. We should be starting with something else, but now something else is in place and it's not helping a lot of you guys. So yeah, that's something that you can explore with us if it's something of interest to you. But I just wanted to bring to your attention that this is something that exists, and I want you to be mindful of this issue and do better for yourself, because yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot happening. I'll see you some other time. If you don't know me and you just got here, my name is Yolanda Mnyengeza. I'll see you next time.